How means job. Oops. We really need to tie it to the How means jobs readiness seal because that was the major focus there. So we started working with a gentleman that you all may know. He was an executive president with that Ohio Department of Education, Steve Gratz. So we started working with him, and he helped us craft it to make sure that it met all the Ohio means job readiness seal traits. Of course, just doing our training, they don't earn the seal. They have to prove it out, as everyone knows, but it teaches the skills that they need to know, the knowledge that they need to know. And then in working with the department some more, they said, okay, credentials are coming up. It's the big thing. So it would really be nice if your professional skills courses ended in a credential. So we tied it to the Leadership Excellence credential, worked with the department, got the blessing that it is approved to get the 3 points reimbursements and all that for the Leadership Excellence credential. And I will say, way back when we were starting on this, we did a proof of concept for this course, the Leadership Excellence course, to make sure that it was hitting the mark for high school students. It is written at a 7th grade reading level. We've had 9th graders take it and do tremendously well with it. We've had 8th graders take it, do tremendously well with it. So it's very manageable. But we did a proof of concept with a little over 200 students. And the average pre-test score was 57%, and the average post-test score was 90%. So there's something from the what is expected standpoint that a lot of the students just didn't have yet. So we're excited about the fact that we believe this course can provide some of that to them. And from a business and technology skills, we have a variety of credentials that can be accomplished through that. We have been kind of drastically taking a look back and looking at our company, and we've been scaling down the number of credentials as we're learning more and more of, okay, these are really hitting the mark with high schools and these are not. This is maybe a little too much, or there's so many prereqs to get to this credential. It doesn't make sense for us to just keep offering it because we want to make sure we're setting up the schools and the students for success. So we've scaled down our offerings, but we still have a number of business and technical skills offerings. We can do all this because we have some great partnerships. We have some great partnerships with CompTIA. We have a great partnership with Skillsoft. If you're not familiar with Skillsoft, they own 70% of the Fortune 1000 market share. They're huge and they're awesome. I was a CIO for an East Coast insurance company for many years. And this is a training that I utilize to train my staff. So I thought was, okay, let's take that same training, let's push it down to the high school level. So they're getting this tremendous head start coming out of high school, whether they're going on to college or going out straight to the workforce or whatever that may be. And because Skillsoft believes in our overall mission of what we're doing with our profits, that allows us to offer some real flexibility in regards to the packages that we put together and some great pricing on what we're putting together, which I hope you will agree with when we get to that point. Features of Embold. So we started 100% online, self-paced, and then hearing from schools, hey, we would like to have some teacher involvement and kind of mix that together. So we now have a hybrid model for our foundational courses. The foundational courses lead to Leadership Excellence and the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt. So for those two foundational courses, there's a hybrid model where it's a little more scaled down with the online learning, and then it's scaled up with Embold resources so that a teacher can help drive those points home through exercises, quizzes, things of that nature. And then the students would be doing a project to kind of prove out the knowledge. Then as we kept evolving, and we heard there was a very large school that said, we have a class and it has some similar things in it to Leadership Excellence. And we have taught Lean Six before, but we're not happy with kind of the content and the credentialing around it. So they asked us if we would work on a 100% instructor-led model. So we have complete Embold content, exercises, quizzes, discussion questions, all those kind of things. That can be 100% instructor-led. And then it ends with a project where the students are proving out that knowledge to a teacher of record. They're verifying it with Embold. and we have the ability that the department has given us to then provide the credential. And we're going to be talking about three main credentials today for the sake of today's conversation: leadership excellence, which gives them professionalism, and the Lean Six Sigma yellow belt, and then green belt, which gives them more of the efficiency type. All three of those credentials are on every single ODE pathway. So if you say, hey, I want to do the first two, those are 3 pointers each. So you got 6 points. And if you want to spin off to any other pathway and get another 6 pointer to get to that 12 points, you're good, because those first 6 are in every single pathway. And I will elaborate a little bit more on those training options later in the presentation here. Professional mentoring on specific courses. So the Lean Six courses, there's a little button that says Ask a Mentor. So if a student has a question about the course, even if they have a question about the exam coming up or anything that they have, they can reach out to an industry expert through a live chat or through email and get some questions answered. All the content we have is created by industry experts, and Skillsoft therefore totes a 92% success rate on the first try for the exams. There will never be any crowdsourcing type material within this training. The portables are all customizable, so they have the look and the feel, the branding, logos of the individual schools, and they're set up exactly for their needs. Because what you'll see when I show you the portable demo, it's kind of got a little bit of everything. Okay, here it is if you're doing the 100% online. Here it is if you're doing the hybrid. Here's some extra resources for hybrid. So there's a lot kind of there, but it's completely customizable. So when we know what a school is interested in, then the portal is specifically designed content-wise for them and look and feel for them. Printable transcripts are available. Activity and grade reports, which you'll see later, are available, including if you do the online model or the blended model where they're taking some of these online courses. You can see here's about how long this course should have taken, and here's how long they spent on it. So if you have a student coming back and go, look, I just didn't get it and I didn't pass the quiz at the end, you can go back and say, okay, well, it should have taken you, whatever, 25 minutes to take this course and you spent 1 minute on it. So you will have that information at your fingertips there. Discount packages. We actually, last week, got a brand new one approved primarily for this conversation, understanding from Melissa what some of the primary credentials your team may be interested in. We got a brand new discount package put together that I will show you. And then, as always, there's free education training for the instructors. And that can go 2 different paths that I'll explain also a little later. Through the PAST Foundation, through a cohort, and there's some extra benefits and then packages there and some prizes there. Or if anybody's not interested in that cohort, straight from Embold, if you're signing up your school, all your instructor training is free. We have different options as far as how you can purchase the products. Individual credentials, that's great. Predefined packages, like the package I talked about. We set aside some of them that become popular. We just create packages for them. Or we offer fully customizable. A school can come in and say, hey, I want this one, this one, this one, and kind of handpick what they want, and we'll set up an individual package for them. Back to the relationships we have, it allows us, again, that type of flexibility that it can look and feel exactly as you want it to, and trying to best meet the specific needs of your school. All right, I am going to show the portal, but I'm going to pause here for a second, take a breath, and then say, is there any questions at this point?
I don't see any in the chat.
Okay, not hearing any.
Okay, all right, yeah. I'll email.
Oh, that was for me. That must not be for me. I switched over. I'm usually using Teams, and also Zoom's a little different for me. You should be seeing my portal, the sign-on screen now. Is that correct? Right. Thank you. Megan's shaking her head. I appreciate that. So right now, this is sign on as a student. So this is the look and feel that a student would be seeing. They would come up here when they're ready to start a course and click on Browse the Library. And right now you see we have just some of the courses out here for the demo. Leadership Excellence is out here. They can click on Leadership Excellence and it will jump into there. There are 5 different traits within our Leadership Excellence package. And these are straight from the book, Leadership Excellence. If you click on any one of these traits, then there's 4 individual modules that go along with that character trait. You click on one of these modules, you can go to About, you can see an overview of the course. You can see the objectives that should be obtained within this course. If you go to the table of contents, while this is roughly a 26-minute course, you can see, as it has been shown, that learning is best in little mini segments. So it's broken up into little mini segments. And just to click on one of these, so you can kind of see it will launch this. You can go take a course test. And at this point, I'll just show you, like, this one has 6 questions. So as I mentioned, 5 character traits with Leadership Excellence, 4 modules underneath each trait. So 20 total modules, 20 total quizzes. So there's a quiz at the end of each module. If you're doing the strictly 100% online version, a student needs to score 75% or better on each of those 20 quizzes. Those quizzes are retakeable. So if they go in and they don't get the 75% required, they can go back in, study a little bit more, come back, retake the quiz. It's not the exact same questions coming back up. Obviously, it's a similar feel because of the content, but it's not the same questions coming back up, and they can keep retaking those until they get their 75%. So again, I pulled this up and just click a couple here so you can just see what the questions kind of look like, and clicking any particular answers, but it'll, show them what they got wrong, show them what they got right. I am also going to go into the yellow belt here real quick. Same type of setup over here. You just see yellow belt, and it lists all the course in the order that the students should be taking them in. If I jump into one of these, the foundations and principles, what you'll see over here is that Ask the Mentor button that I mentioned earlier. So from a student standpoint, they can jump in at any point. They can see their own transcript, what they've taken, how they've done. When it is a 100% online credential that they're going for, which is, again, their foundational ones are Leadership Excellence in the yellow belt. When they finish and they get the scores that they need, they can click Apply for a Credential. This comes up, they fill in the name as they would want it to appear on their credential, their email, if they're allowed to get emails back. That's set up individually by schools. Some allow the students to get emails directly from the outside, some don't. Either way, if they're getting the email, their instructor is also getting the email. So if they have met the criteria, they will get an email back with their certificate congratulating them, and the instructor will be copied on that. If they have not met the criteria, they will get an email back. Their instructor will be also copied on that with an explanation of, okay, you haven't met all the requirements yet. Here's what you're still lacking. And from their standpoint, I will just click on their resources. There's a quick 7-minute video for Lean 6. It's a good overview of, okay, what is it? Because a lot of people haven't even heard of it coming into it. So it gives a real quick overview to set the mindset of what they're going to be learning more about. Objectives outline is out there. There's a student workbook, and this student workbook goes hand in hand with the videos. So if you scroll down through here, it is going through exactly what the videos are going through, but it's giving fill in the blanks so that as they're going along to help with the comprehension, they can fill in the blanks. The good thing about the Lean 6, we're not about how good of test takers they are. We want to make sure they're getting the information they need, the knowledge that they need, and comprehending that knowledge. So when they go to take their test, Leadership excellence, again, 20 individual modules, 20 individual quizzes, 75% or better. For the Lean Six yellow belt and for the green belt, there's a larger test at the end that they need to get 70% or better to pass. It's a longer test. It's not one, you know, you would want to be taking a bunch, but they can retake that one also if they need to. And it is completely open book. So they can have this with them, you know, as they're going through the test. And while it is a longer test, it's not one of those where, okay, you got 2 hours and there's this clock ticking up here that's panicking everybody. They can work on it a little bit one day, and they can come back 2 days later, work on it a little bit more. They can come back the next week, work on a little bit more, and finish it whenever they need to, you know, whenever they can finish it. So with both of our foundational skill courses, we feel very comfortable that they're providing knowledge that's very beneficial for the students moving on in their high school career and then whatever is next for them, but they're also very obtainable if the students put the effort in. I will jump to now and show you what it would look like for a teacher administrator sign on. Same look and feel for the portal, but I will jump. What I did not show you is if a hybrid model is chosen, we have that example out here. So let's just take leadership excellence, for example. If the hybrid model is chosen and they're doing a project to prove out their knowledge, they don't need to take all 20 courses and 20 quizzes. They will be taking 10. So to try to help save on confusion, if a school chooses that hybrid model, they have the 5 characteristics up here, the 5 traits still, but there's only 2 underneath each, because those are the only 2 they need to do in the hybrid model before they do their project. However, because schools still want those other courses out there in case, you know, there's something that a student, you know, is particularly struggling in. Hey, they're not a great listener, so I want to make them take this, become a listener, even though it's not part of that credential that has to be. Those courses are still out there to expand on those different traits a little bit more. And the same goes with the yellow belt. If you're doing the hybrid model and click on yellow belt, there's only 8 courses that are required for the hybrid model or for fully instructor led. But if you click on the expanded, and then it brings up other additional, more detailed courses, deeper dive into some of the things. There is the learning activity report that is available for administrators. As I mentioned, this is just some data from a Embold employee. So it's out there. You can see who it is, what they've taken, when they've signed on, how many times they've signed on, if they've completed it or not, or if it's in progress, what they've scored on pre-test, if they took the pre-test, what they scored on the test, if they've retaken the test, what is the highest point that they've gotten to, how long the course should have taken, and how long they actually spent on it. And then from a teacher standpoint, there's a few resources out here that we just have for new user add. We have a template out here. It does not have to be used, but this is the information that we would need when a school is setting up their students. We need to know who their instructor is, how you want those reports that I just showed lay out. If it, okay, all the leadership excellence go under one, or hey, there's 3 different teachers and they all have leadership excellence, and break those out separately. We just need to know who the students are, email address if they're allowed to get emails, what courses, and then who their instructor is. Again, this template doesn't have to be used, but that's the information we need. That then goes to either myself, or what is better to make sure somebody's looking at it right away is support@embold.org. If you're doing the blended model, the hybrid model, or the 100% instructor led, there is a certification sheet out here that goes through, okay, what was the credential? Okay, what model did you use? And then it gives you the steps where you're just filling out the student information. And then a teacher of record is signing off to say, they have proven those skills out to me. We have used the Embold content. We've went through it. They've done a project that is really, we give options, but it's really up to the school and their choosing of what that project looks like. But it needs to be for your students, and you know what you can verify they're proven out, they've learned those skills. And then I'll just go through For Yellow Belt, from a teacher standpoint, some of the same things. The student workbook is out there, but you would have the teacher edition with the fill in the blanks obviously would be filled in on that one. There's a project workbook for the hybrid models or the full instructor led that the students would be using. And then there is the instructor manual for Yellow Belt. And I am going to need to bring this up because the preview, it is too big for the preview to handle. So I'll bring that up here. So in this instructor's manual, what you will see is, let's look down through, an overview of what the credential is, how it benefits high school students, and you will see all the credentialing options spelled out. And we do have schools that do multiple options, by the way. We have even our largest that kind of led the way for us for this instructor led. They still have students that they want to have the 100% online availability for. If they have to miss school for whatever reason for long periods of time or whatever that is, they still want to give them that option to obtain the credential. So mixing these up is fine within schools too. The manual goes through content that hits all the points of each of the modules, but also hits it at a point where it isn't crazy hard. It's, again, we worked very closely with a large school to make sure it was hitting the mark, hitting all the points that they would need to understand Lean Six and the concepts, but also hitting at an understandable level for high school students. So it has content with each module. You will see it has discussion questions and then possible answers, good answers for those questions. And it has exercises. So, it's great if you can kind of do some fun interactive activities that prove out, what you're trying to teach the students. So we have various exercises out here in any model. You don't have to use everything we have here, but we have it out there for you to choose because you know what's best for your students, of what's going to hit the mark, what they would enjoy, what would drive the points home. So we just have various options out there to choose from, several in this case, because it's the foundational one. Then we have knowledge check, which is just a quiz. If you want to give the quiz, you can give a quiz to your students. And then of course we have the answer key for the knowledge check. And then we go into the next module, which has the exact same things. So all those modules look the same. And then we can go down here at the bottom. It gives all the information in regarding the project. Okay, what would a project look like? What's the outcome we're looking for? The criteria that this teacher of record should be looking for. It has a rubric for you to score upon. And then we get asked a lot, okay, give us some ideas. So we just put it in the manual. Okay, we have ideas for the school, like at the school that it could be. We have ideas within the community. And we have ideas if your students are working or some of the students are working, what they could do in their work environment in regards to a project. And then we have some sample project outlines, one for the school environment, one for the community environment, and then one for a work type environment. So that is our manual. That is very newly released for the general population. Again, it's been vetted out through a very large school in the Columbus area, but it's just been released for the general population very recently. But that is the type of information that you have for the hybrid model. Well, for any of the models, even if you're doing 100% online, like I said, if you want to grab some of the exercise or whatever to drive points home, they're all there. And any model, you have access to that instructor book. Okay. So now I'm going to pause again. Is there any questions now or anything else on the portal that you would like to see before I move on? Not hearing any, I'm going to trudge forward. Oh, I did want to bring up a separate slide here because Melissa, you had mentioned, some maybe this wasn't, I took this out of a presentation, but I'll show you, some of the abilities that we have for maybe some students that need a little extra help or something a little different. So just some of the assistive technologies that are available within the portal. And that is the click of a button. When you log in the portal, there's one that says activate assistive technologies or something to that effect. So you have access to those extra pieces. Okay, so now let me find you, right? I got way too many things open right now. No questions? No questions.
I don't see any in the chat right yet.
Okay, I'm gonna close a couple of these things down so I can maneuver a little bit better around. Okay, we get asked a lot, okay, what is recommended for, what a lot of schools do, what most schools do as far as, the path to get to the 12 points. So we put this together. Doesn't have to be this way, but this is what a lot of schools do within their freshman year. They try to get them professionalism and efficiency start, and that is through leadership excellence and the yellow belt. As I mentioned before, both of those are in every single ODE pathway. It assists towards getting 2 seals. It gets them some points towards the industry recognized credential seal, and it gets them the knowledge that they need to prove out the readiness seal. And for those 2, as I just went through, multiple options are available for the training and credentialing. And both of these 2 are 100% reimbursable from, which I will talk to in a minute, from the pricing standpoint. But I'll jump on, and again, just focusing on Greenbelt. So in Greenbelt, they would finish up their 12 point, and the Greenbelt is IWIP eligible. So if you're not familiar with IWIP, there's a ton of money out there that, whether it's with Embold or anybody else, you should be taking a look at it, because there's some really good money out there available. From a pricing standpoint, let me jump up here. So we want to make sure we have credentials that are obtainable for students, that are getting them really good knowledge that's going to be beneficial for them, not just, oh, hey, I got this, so now I can move on, but it's not going to do me any good. We try to be real careful that it's really providing valuable input for the students and knowledge to the students. So we wanted to do that, and we also wanted to set it up so it would be affordable for schools. So, as I'm sure you're probably familiar with, the Ohio Department of Education has set amount for different credentials that they will reimburse. So what we've done is we've taken as many credentials as we could for our core credentials and said, okay, we want our training price and our credentialing price to be that credentialing reimbursement. Or in other words, as you see here for the first 3 that we're talking about today, leadership excellence, yellow belt, and green belt, for every student that obtains that credential, the net cost is 0 for the school, because our pricing for training and credentialing is the same price as the reimbursement from the department. Okay. Just bring this up to show the options in a little bit more detail, because I know I've thrown out a lot and it gets a little confusing, but for our foundational skills, the 100% self-paced learning option is about 8 hours of online content. And then they take 20 quizzes that are repeatable, 75% or better. They send that in, the student sends that in to us, and we verify. Option 2 is a mixture of about 4 hours for the leadership excellence, and then some instructor-led training, 10 quizzes, repeatable, and then a demonstration of that knowledge through a project. And you can see here, there is a lot of local flexibility about what that project looks like. It's up to the school system to determine, okay, they've proven that out to me. And when you talk about, I get asked a lot, okay, what do you have, some IEP students or students that need a little extra help? I can't tell you, that's such a wide range. It's such a wide ranging question. What I would say to that is, let me give you a trial ID and you look at everything, because you know your students, and then you can say, this is something that they can do, or this is something that maybe is a little beyond, where they're at this point. And then we have the 100% instructor-led for the leadership excellence. You see a target date of a couple weeks away. We're pushing really hard to get that one out there and live, and It's been, again, also piloted, and we're tweaking some comments back from the school that's working with us to get this set up. But we're looking for that general release to everybody on 3.1, and everything is proven through a project with the teacher record verifying. For the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt, if it's straight 100% online, that's 20% or 20 hours, excuse me, roughly, of online content. As I mentioned, 70% or better at the end on that course test. No time limit, no, and open book. The mixture splits that in half, about 10 hours of online content, and proving it out through a project. And then the 100% instructor led, which is available right now, and that's the manual I just showed you, is teaching Embold content and then proving it out through a project. And our note here at the bottom for those hybrid and the fully instructor-led models is that the teacher of record needs to successfully complete the course or go through a train-the-trainer course before teaching that. And that's an ODE standard. And then the other thing specifically straight from the site is that the school should keep proof of instruction at the school if they're doing those models. Okay. I'm whipping through a lot of information here, but now I'm going to bring this up. This is the package that I talked about that just got approved, that we've been working on. The board approved it last week, that we can have this package put together and a price that's even lower than what you would get reimbursed. So the package price for Leadership Excellence, Lean Six Sigma Yellow, and Green Belt, 12 points, is $225 per student, and it's a 2-year license. That includes all the training and all the credentialing. So that those first two, the foundational ones, are applicable to any of those 3 models that I talked about earlier. Right now, and then for the foreseeable future, that Green Belt is only going to be 100% online. Eventually, it's going to move into those other areas, but right now it's just 100% online. If they go through this, they fulfill the demonstrating competency as far as the graduation, because they're earning that 12-point credential. And if they prove out with getting the 3 signatures, acknowledging and demonstrating the skills they learned in Leadership Excellence, then they will get the Ohio Means Job Readiness Seal. Again, want to be real careful. They don't just get it by the training, but they get the training for what they need to know and prove out. And then they also would meet the demonstrating readiness, because they would have those 2 seals, industry recognized credential with the 12 points and the Ohio Means Job Readiness Seal. With the package, it's a 10% discount, meaning that 111% reimbursement potential. So you would be getting back, more than you're paying in. So per student, you're paying $225, and you would be getting back $250 if the student, for every student that obtains those credentials. And with the IWIP, because the Green Belt is an IWIP credential, for every student that got the Green Belt, you have the potential for $1,275 back per student when they obtain these 3 credentials. That is the $1,250 for IWIP, and then the extra money because of the discounted package price. And of course, if you look down through here, those reimbursements are set, as long as the bucket of money set aside isn't exceeded. If it is exceeded, it's prorated, but as long as that bucket of money from the workforce transformation and ODE isn't exceeded, those are the numbers that you could be seeing. One thing that I did not mention that is important, if a 100% instructor-led model is chosen, here's how we do the pricing and the invoicing. We provide all the material. The instructor manual will give the portal access to the instructor or instructors, so they have everything out there. They teach the course. And then when they have students that have completed that and are ready to get their credential, they're ready to sign off on that verification sheet. They send us the verification sheet, and then we invoice from there, meaning there is no student that a school would be paying for that didn't get the credential. So it is 100% guaranteed that you're going to get reimbursed for everyone that you've paid for, because you're not going to pay us until you've verified, until they're ready to get that credential. Okay. So I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. I have went through a lot of stuff right now. But at this point, I want to stop again and see if there's any questions for me or anything anybody wants to see. Because again, I'm pushing up against my time.
Okay.
I just see that would pop up. The pricing still the same. Absolutely, yes. For all three of those models, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that the pricing is the same. No matter what model is chosen, or if you got, hey, I want some students 100% online, and we got some students that are hybrid, some full instructor, you have access to all of that, same price.
Okay. Rob, are you willing to share the PowerPoint you used with me?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
And we are recording, so once we're finished, I can get that out to people who came today.
Perfect. Yeah, I will send you the PowerPoint. I will send you copies of the 3 marketing sheets that I pulled up there. If you go out to the Embold website, up in the right-hand corner, you also have access to those documents. There's a library button up there. There is a request a demo button up there. So if anybody wants to follow up with a demo, you can click there and it'll bring up our schedule. So you can just kind of pick your own time slot there. And I will bring this screen up too, which has contact information for me and for Steve. If anybody's interested in really discussing a career pathway and has a lot of questions, he's the answer guy. He knows about all the pathways.
And then is there any flexibility of doing the courses 11th and 12th grade instead of 9th and 10th?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We put that up just because we get asked suggestions. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And something that's key too that I did not mention, if you're looking at this and saying, maybe I'm not sure, take a look at it. Let us know. If you just give us, first name, last name, and email of anybody that wants full access to see this, go through it, take courses, by all means, we'll give everybody access that wants it to go through it.
Okay, and then apologies if I missed this. How many hours of instruction are the packages you mentioned?
Yeah, I can go through them. It's on one slide. I think I might have closed. It's not on that one. Let me bring one up here real quick, and as I talk through them, so you can see them and you can see which sheet it's on then too. Okay. Let me share this again right here. Okay. So here you can see for the leadership excellence, it's 8 hours of online content. Again, this is the 100% online self-paced. 8 hours of online content, 20 hours of online content for yellow belt, and 35 hours of online content for green belt. And then for the foundational skills, the first 2, you can divide that in half of what is required is about 4 hours of content and about 10 hours of content. And then, the instructor led for the rest, and then proving it out with the project. However, as I mentioned before, though, I want to be clear, like if you pick the blended model, the hybrid model, say for yellow belt, you're still going to get all 20 of those content hours, but only 10 of them are required in that model. Okay, I didn't go through this, a lot of questions in the chat. Melissa, were there other questions that didn't get answered that came up in the chat there?
Yeah. Could you show again how you get the trial ID or request that demo?
Sure. I'll bring up my website right here. So on my website, embold.org, up in the right-hand corner, if you click the docs and pricing, you will see those sheets that I went through today. You will see a full price list for some other credentials. You'll see a cost estimation, which is kind of cool. It's very complicated looking, but like in this scenario, we ran 200 leadership excellence, 200 yellow belt, and 20 green and project. And then the bottom line is it netted out for $50,000 coming into this particular school for this, because of that IWIP money, that again is just nuts. But then back to the homepage of the Embold site, if you can request a meeting. So if you just click request meeting up in that right-hand corner, you can click Embold discussion and it'll walk through, and then it'll set it up on our calendar and on your calendar, just for some time to carve out and go through things in more detail and specifically about your school. But that's all up here. And our request trial ID, you can click that if you want a trial ID, or just send it to me because that is a little outdated. As I was going through preparing for this presentation, I looked at that and I'm like, okay, that's not the best, choices for the trial ID. But if you just put your name and information in there, and then the comments, select what you're most interested in, I will make sure that's in your, included in your ID.
Great. And then last question, what curriculum items are included with the 100% instructor-led course, or will be included?
So you would have access to the full manual, because again, we want to make sure that for discussion questions and for the exercises and any extra quizzes that they would have access to that. So yeah, that's available. There's a project workbook for the students that isn't a one-to-one for the 100% instructor-led, but if a school says we want to do 100% online self-paced, but we want access to all the utilities, that's not a problem. We're going to give them access to all the resources. With the only reason we would take some off, I'm sorry, I'll stop the share because I'm talking to a little tiny square here now. The only reason we would take resources off is only because it gets a little mucked up, that like it's a little mucky. It's a little bit, okay, if you're only doing 100, we have a lot of online schools, and the online schools are saying we will never be doing exercises with these kids or whatever. So we take all those off of resources just to clean it up a bit. But if a school says we're doing online, but we want all those resources, they'll be out there.
Great. And guys, you can keep throwing questions in the chat or just unmute and ask Rob what questions you have. But what we're going to do from here is I'll send you all an email tomorrow with the information from Rob and the link to the video of the recording of our session. And then if you are interested in getting some seats through the SST for free, then you need to just send back an email that you're interested, and we'll send you a Google form link. Because there's some different options here, we just want to gauge, how many seats might you want, which credentials are you interested in, and then who at your district would manage this, because like Rob said, it's all customizable to your district. So he's willing to work with an individual district to make sure it's as you need it to be. And then we would be out of it. Like the middleman would not be involved. So you could get the information more quickly from him in the future. So again, tomorrow, once I send that out, just let us know if you're interested, and then we'll send you the link and an email explaining the timeline and stuff, so we can get you all set up. Megan, do you have anything to add?
Nope, that's good.
Okay, if you have any other questions, feel free to stay on and unmute and ask, or you can enjoy the rest of your afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.